Wow, this was such a good year in movies that I actually went ahead and made my top 10 favorite movies of 2022. Yep, 10 movies. Definitely definitely not like more than 10 cuz that would be ridiculous. Why would I do such a thing? Let's go ahead and start with number 10. The Whale, directed by Darren Aronofsky. I absolutely love the way that this movie was filmed because it just felt so claustrophobic. The performances also kind of added to this, giving this unnerving atmosphere to the movie. The acting being very emotional and yet subtle in terms of how far they all had to go with their acting. The story itself is very depressing, but it honestly had a surprisingly positive outreach, with our main character being super optimistic, which it comes to a detriment. And honestly, I feel like a lot of people ignore this just because of how the movie itself treats its main character. By the way, I'm not defending this movie in terms of whether or not you think this movie is fatphobic, because I don't have that perspective. So I'm not going to declare whether or not something is or isn't that just because of how perspective works. So, like, yeah, I just thought that the way that this movie dealt with issues of grief, religion, and generational trauma was just done in such an intriguing way that kept me so engaged with the movie. This movie just has great plot threads that all slowly unravel in ways that just feel so satisfying. So I guess take that as you will. Number 10, Tar, directed by Todd Field. The acting in this film was just so hypnotizing with how powerful Kate Blanchett's delivery is. She has this magnetic performance that makes the concept of conducting music actually seem interesting. With how long this movie is, it is hard to flesh out this movie, which is trying to reach people who do not know anything about the subject of orchestras. But yet they somehow did it. I mean, they had me reeled in, and as I was watching this woman go on a tangent about classic composers for 30 minutes straight, still had me interested as fuck because of how striking her words and delivery are. So yeah, it's a great movie just cause of that. But overall, just seeing the subtle movements of this downward spiral that is this slow burn character study of seeing someone with this huge ego face a challenge that has them stumped. It's just amazing. I mean, especially because the movie only shows her perspective, leading us as the viewers to have to put the pieces together on what actually happened here. And it's just so intriguing with how they did it. Number 10, Banshees of Inisherin, directed by Martin McDonagh. I didn't know what to expect from this movie, but god damn, it was brilliant every single way. The many directions that it went in was both unexpected and just wow. I mean, I didn't think they would go that far with it, but they went all out, and I have huge respect for that. The cinematography is what makes this movie work so well for me. The movie is also just straight up beautiful, especially because of how the people on the island kind of just give it this impure feeling. The way that these people act really showcase how much isolation can mess up a person, which is just super emphasized by the cinematography. Just the characters themselves, it's very much just there. It's so clear in every way possible. I mean, literally every single character is affected by the isolation that is on this island. So I mean, yeah, I don't think they could have made it any more clear. So yeah, the fact that they made something like that interesting to watch for 2 hours is something that is crazy to think about, especially because this is a movie that would be considered to be a slow burn. So yeah, considering isolation takes a while to show its effects. So when it does, you end up going like, oh damn, that nigga crazy, or some shit like that. But yeah, either way, the ending felt very satisfying in terms of how they dealt with that whole isolation factor that I've been very much hamming towards. Number 9, Wakanda Forever, directed by Ryan Coogler. I don't care about the fact that it's a Marvel movie, because it really is more than that. Whether or not you think it, I don't give a fuck. So, yeah, how about you suck my... Anyways, this is a movie that helps us truly grieve one of the biggest losses that we've ever faced in Hollywood in such a long, long time. An uplifting symbol for young black men everywhere that was just all taken away. In which this film just does such a great job at exploring those themes and, just talking about it in general. And it also wouldn't be right to replace Chadwick Boseman, because not only would it be disrespectful to his legacy, but to the real people who were involved with this movie. So the way that this movie was written felt so genuine in terms of how they all expressed their own ways of grief. The story itself was fine, and the action was honestly better than the first movie, but what makes this one of the best Marvel movies ever was just the fact that Ryan Coogler made every single right decision when making this movie in the way that he made it, in terms of it being not only being a tribute to Chadwick himself, but also just a great movie that finds a way of passing the torch. And if you want to tell me that I'm wrong, shut the fuck. Pearl, directed by T.I. West. Mia Goth is the Joker, baby. But yeah, no, this movie is great in terms of how Mia Goth is just able to portray such a terrifying role. A movie where we see the downfall of this girl who went crazy over isolation. Wait, that sounds a bit funny. It doesn't matter. Anyways, the story has our characters so involved, in which we see Mia Goth just act her ass out. The error in how they showcase it is also great. But have I told you about Mia Goth's acting yet? Because, it just really makes the movie work together flawlessly. I mean, the voice that she does and the old-timey stuff mixed with her doing crazy shit makes sense regarding how that time was. It shows knowledge of what they were all doing and the talent of the people involved. And also, I never thought a prequel like this would be able to flesh out a character from a movie that made it impossible to empathize with a person like that in general. So good job on that. Overall, just an engrossing movie that just focuses on terrifying the shit out of you with how dedicated that acting is. The Menu, directed by Mark Mullard. A movie that makes fun of people who enjoy movies like this. That's pretty fun and cathartic to think about. Cathartic in how it humbles you to just kind of appreciate the smaller things that comes to what we enjoy and how to take it in. But overall, this movie was just a blast, even though things that were happening were very much terrifying. It is treated in a specific way that amplifies the whole eating the rich thing. It's not too preachy about it because of our perspective of Anya Taylor-Joy's character, who plays a person who's not rich. So yeah, the way they play on everyone's, character tropes was just done so well, considering the fact that they made it work somehow. So I really appreciate that. The cinematography is also just so yummers, which is a word I haven't used in years. So yeah, thank you, The Menu. The amount of unpredictability that this movie also has kept me engaged the whole time that I was watching it. So yeah. Number 6, On the Count of Three, directed by Gerard Carmichael. Honestly, respect the hell out of this movie that TikTok just keeps pushing in my face. Goddamn TikTok, I watched it, okay? Leave me alone! Anyways, this movie deals with race and men's mental health in such a nuanced way that I honestly thought was great. I mean, this takes that fun duo trope in such a dark direction that gets into some real-ass topics of trauma in the healthcare system. So what's not to love about a movie like that? Which is a bit more subtle, but it was just done so well that I don't even care about that. There's also something so homely about it in terms of how it shows its late stage capitalist area and somehow makes it look beautiful. The acting also feels so subtle and meticulous with it not going too far, and just it tries to remain as real as you can get with such an insane concept as this one. So yeah, and I'm also tired, so sick and tired of seeing movies with Christopher Abbott being classified as underrated as fuck. Check yourself, nigga. Give this man his Grammy. Number 5, Barbarian, directed by Zach Krieger. As my friend Temple has said, this movie accentuates its love of horror with how it presents itself. I mean, the cinematography and story just scream about its passion for the craft in such a fun and unique way. It feels fresh with the themes that it explores, and the pacing that is unconventional in ways that have you guessing what's gonna happen next. The subtle themes of classism illustrated with Detroit are great, and what it leads to gives the movie more depth than you would realize. Everything that happens in the later scenes is just shot so well, and the twist of what's in the house is just so fucking good and utterly shocking that I'm not even going to say what it is still, because it's just one of those things that you have to go see for yourself. The twists and the turns are what makes this movie so entertaining, and it's just completely wild from beginning to end. Number 4, Puss in Boots, directed by Joel Crawford. Wow, I didn't think they were actually gonna bring back the Shrek franchise, but they actually did. And the fact that they're doing it with Puss in Boots is even more crazier. And the fact that it was one of the best movies of the year is even crazier. I mean, this movie has the animation very much reminiscent of Spider-Verse, which kind of really shows itself in the fight scenes that are honestly the best fight scenes I've seen this year. Yeah. The story is also pretty good, explores themes of redemption in such mature ways that this, it illustrates it in ways that I never really saw coming. They were not kidding when they said that animation isn't just for kids anymore, because like this movie in particular gets dark, especially when it comes to like how it deals with the thought of death and legacy that you leave behind when you die and shit like that. The villain himself steals the show because he's just so, what was I talking about again? Oh, yeah, sorry. The movie is just so stunning with how it looks, and it's honestly just refreshing with its story and character development. I'll have more to say about this movie next year. You'll see why. Number 3, X, directed by T.R. West. Another T.R. West movie. That's fucking insane. T.R. West went on a roll today. Yeah, I absolutely love slashers. As a lot of you know, that I grew up on slashers. So when I heard A24 out of all people were making one surrounding a group filming porn, starring Mia Goth, Jenna Ortega, and Kid Cudi, yeah, nigga, you got my attention. What else does there need to be said other than those exact words that I said? Yeah, of course it's gonna be on the top of my list. I don't really need much. But yeah, no, anyways, it was generally a fun experience. It takes the horror tropes and kind of flips it on the side of your head. The movie knows exactly what it is and just does not waste any time whatsoever getting to what the point of it is. There's a certain subtext of this film and what it stands for in terms of like what the time period was. It really adds to the characters and story in such an interesting way. The tension that is also built up throughout the movie is done so perfectly. And then the style of this movie is so distinct in a way that is both reminiscent of an older movie, but it also just does its own thing, which is just so amazing in its own way. And that's all I really need to say about a movie like this. You really want me to explain more? How about you go number 2, Everything Everywhere All at Once, directed by Daniel Scheinert and Daniel Kwan. This is on everyone's list, right? No, who cares? I wrote an essay about this movie for class, so I'll just be reading off of this for that. Everything Everywhere All at Once is a heartfelt movie that has an emphasis on existentialism and the showcase on the importance of family dynamics. The film is really important because of the way it gives representation towards the LGBTQ plus and Asian people. The film also focuses on the struggles of those people, and with it mainly being about the character dynamics. The concept of the film puts it in the subgenre of multiverse movies because the movie takes our characters throughout multiple dimensions. This multi-dimensional travel is more of a setup for character development rather than its actual main focus of the plot. It starts off with our main character, Evelyn Wing, wait, I don't want to talk about the plot. Yeah, we get some emotionally charged scenes throughout the film, with how the mother and daughter travels through different dimensions, and Evelyn realizing that the timeline that she's originally from is what's most important to her. The film really ends in such a bittersweet way with our characters being able to finally understand each other's struggles. The film has tons of great acting and many unique scenes that really showcase the creativity of the people involved with the film. The film also is one of A24's most successful movies. Actually, it might be the most successful A24 movie. I did write this when the movie came out. So, yeah. I think it's the most successful movie A24 has made yet, just because of how the film has been able to resonate with every person who watched it. you know, with its storytelling in general. So yeah, it's definitely probably this year's most popular indie film. Let me go ahead and get the honorable mentions out of the way. Fire Island. It is a cute movie that has great LGBTQ plus and POC representation. Bodies, bodies, bodies. When will y'all take Pete Davidson seriously as an actor? Also, the mystery is great, and the message of music communication with another generation is done in such a brutal and honest way that it just hurts, bones and all. I have a lot more to say about this movie later, but yeah, no, this movie manages to juggle a bunch of different genres and create its own lane in such a unique way. Turning Red, haha, Furigo, brrr, The Batman. Generally one of the best superhero movies of the new decade. It's just badass in its own subtle ways. Men, I'm gay. Is this really a surprise? Nope. It's exciting to watch this type of blockbuster horror with ambitious and grandiose messages just kind of thrown at you. I really want more of this. Please give me more of this. Smile. This was just fun, honestly. Gives me the same sensation that The Ring did. I really hope we get more of this, honestly. This was unbelievable amounts of fun. Glass Onion. Daniel Craig's character has no gag reflex. What the number one? Is it really a surprise what my number one is? I mean, like, if you know me, generally, if you know me as a friend, you should know what my number one is. Okay, so just don't be mad at me for the people who don't know me. Okay, it's The Bad Guys, directed by what the fuck? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Just hear me out. Stop. Okay, hear me out. This is DreamWorks' epic comeback story. You know, they went all out in every single department with their stellar animation and the witty writing surrounding the cunning characters. I mean, we all know this movie as well, just for the fact that it has a sexy wolf man. But keep in mind, he's a genuinely interesting character we all see develop in an interesting way. And the only bad thing you can think about this movie is Aquafina, but she's barely in the movie anyway, so you could just ignore her, okay? Pretend that she doesn't exist. That's what I do with every movie that she's in. But yeah, no, this movie is perfect in every way except for Aquafina. It's just an entertaining ass movie. The pacing is incredible, making it the most replayable movie of the year. It does tropes in a fun, refreshing way that doesn't feel overdone, makes them kids laugh. It knows exactly what it is. It's not afraid to kind of push the buttons a little bit in terms of how far they go with these tropes. It adds some surprising things that add an extra layer to the movie that it didn't really need, but it added a fun element otherwise. And also, what makes this movie number one for me are the character interactions. It's just so much fun to watch. You know, they get fleshed out very well. You know, and overall, it's just a fun movie that knows what to do to entertain you, but mostly me, because Mr. Wolf is fucking hot as shit. Okay, I'm ending the video like this. You can't stop me. You can't stop me.